3 solid tips that will help you find and locate Roosevelt bulls in Oregon and Washington. So tip number 1 is getting away from trails and roads, because if you just pull off on your car or truck and start calling right from the road, or you're hiking on the trail and you start calling straight from the trailhead, right off the trail that many people walk every week, elk know that. They can be within an earshot, but they're not gonna respond back to something that is right on the road or right on the trail. So even if you hike out 200-300 yards from the road, that will still help you a lot, because the elk realizes that the bull is not calling from the road or right off the trail, and they're going to be more prone to responding to something that is in the woods, in the forest, in the timber, instead of calling right off the road, right off the trail, because they can hear doors slamming, they can hear people walking on trails, hikers hiking. And in my experience, if I get away from the road or the trail, even just a couple hundred yards, 200, 300, 400 yards, and then I start calling and I'm walking parallel to the road or the trail as I'm calling, bugling, that when I do that, I get a lot more responses from elk than if I just pull off the road, bugle from the road, or I'm just bugling off the trail. I get way less responses. Tip number 2 is when you are hiking through the forest, you have to bugle often. And I bugle every 75 to 100 yards, 200 yards, depending on how open the forest is. If it's dense like this, if there's water running, if there's bushes and thick timber, I know that my sound is not gonna carry far. My sound is not gonna carry over the ridge. It might not even carry like 200-300 yards. So I'm gonna be bugling a location bugle as I move through the timber, through the forest. I'm gonna be bugling every 50 to 100 yards to let the bulls in the area know that I'm coming through, so they can respond to me. Again, if the area you're hunting is really open and when you bugle, the sound carries half a mile, then you might not need to bugle every couple hundred yards. But I also had in very open areas, when I'm bugling and my sound does carry a quarter of a mile, half a mile, I've had bulls not respond to me until I get really, really close. They get triggered and they're like, okay, this bull is in my area, I need to respond to him. Because during the day, they might be chilling on a ridge, they might be chilling in their bedding areas with their cows, and they don't even think about bugling back at you or responding to your location bugle, because you're too far away. And when you get within 200-300 yards of the herd, then the bulls might start talking back to you. And but again, it depends on the terrain that you hunt. If you're hunting thick timber, then I bugle every 50 to 100 yards. I chuckle, I wait to see if I get a response. If I'm hunting really open timber or burns or stuff like Eastern Oregon where my sound carries really far, then I'm not gonna bugle every 50 yards. I might do 100 to 200 yards. And I've also had where I'm bugling as I'm walking through, I walk past the herd of elk and I'm already leaving and I don't know that they're there. And once I pass through and start leaving, then the bull responds back to me. So I had to turn around and come back to the herd, because he got triggered when I was leaving. When I already passed the herd and I was walking away, then he got triggered and he decided to respond to me. So bugle often, bugle as you're walking through thick terrain, bugle every 50, 100 yards, and make sure that the elk can hear you and you can hear the bulls responding back to you. Okay, tip number 3, guys, and this is gonna be a bomber tip. This is what everybody needs to know. Every elk hunter in Oregon and Washington who's chasing Roosevelt bulls needs to know this. Our forests are thick, our elk are scarce. We don't have that many elk, at least we don't see them. They're there, but we don't see them. So you have to, tip number 3 is you have to find elk hot zones that elk visit often. Not their feeding areas, not their bedding areas. Elk hot zones are usually their rutting areas, their staging areas, the areas where they go to do what they want to do in September. Cows, bulls, everybody's going there. Spikes are going there. Raghorns are going there to watch action. That is what you need to find, because when you find those elk hot zones, you're not gonna just hunt it once. You're gonna come there every day or every second day, every other day. You're gonna loop in to bugle through the area every couple miles, like you're doing a circle, 2-3 miles, you're bugling through those rutting areas, and you know the rutting areas because of how many rubs and wallows there are in these spots. This is the spot that elk have chosen to have action in September. You know what I'm talking about. So this is their favorite spot. It was their favorite spot last year and the season before that, unless it burned or got logged. This is the spot that you need to find. And you have to find multiple rutting areas and visit them every day or every other day, because you're not just hiking aimlessly through the forest. You have to identify those elk hot zones and hunt through them, bugling your location bugle, chuckling, doing different setups. You have to hunt spots that hold elk, or their transition areas like saddles. When you have two mountains and there's a saddle in between, all the animals move up, 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 and then they're gonna cross over into the other canyon. Those are the spots that elk favor in September. Find those spots, loop in every 2-3 days, and spend, half a day, a full day just walking through, blowing your location bugle, doing different calling sequences, because if you find those spots, that is where the elk are. So these are the 3 tips. First, getting away from trails, getting away from roads. Don't bugle from roads, don't bugle from trails. Second, when you're hiking through, blow your location bugle every 50 to 100 yards, because the sound does not carry far. So you have to bugle often, and you have to listen as well, because when a bull responds to you, you might not hear him from 300 yards. And tip number 3 is find those elk hot zones and hunt those spots, and you will be successful.